Okay, so far as I can tell, no Corey yet, no Gracie yet, Gracie C, no Sylvia yet, right? No Carlos yet, no Alex yet, no Ava yet, no Teresa yet, no Lolly, and no Xander, right? Alrighty, sounds good. I think we're set. So yesterday to your school email, you should have got an update on your quarter grades that were submitted. So check and make sure that all of that information looks right. As I said yesterday, what we'll do is start our unit on fascism. It's a political ideology that takes hold in Europe in the basically late 1920s, early 1930s. Sort of in response to the way that Germany and other countries were treated at the end of the Great War, right, which will become World War I after we start World War II here in a couple of units. So a couple of things here. If you go to Module 8, this is where we'll be working out of today. So if you get to this page here, we'll give you an overview, and we'll get rolling and get you out of here. All right, so as I said yesterday, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about fascism and political ideology. Two most famous people during this time period are going to be Benito Mussolini from Italy, Adolf Hitler from Germany, and they're going to rise to power in Italy and Germany and basically embrace these fascist ideologies. So you want to be able to explain the characteristics of fascism, and we'll go over that. Explain the importance of Mussolini to Italy prior to World War II. Tomorrow we'll take a look at Hitler and his importance to Germany prior to World War II, and then we'll have a set of review questions over fascism, those two leaders, and a map exercise of what Europe looks like pre-World War II. So if you click here on the next page, we'll go ahead and get to Mussolini. So this page is going to look like this. All right, so what we're going to have during this time period, and you're going to see this in Italy as well as Germany, but you have a number of people. Remember that we talked about Germany after World War I and the amount of problems that they had, not only from the harsh conditions of the Treaty of Versailles, but that causes economic despair, high inflation, food shortages, just a mess of problems in Germany after the Great War, after World War I. To a lesser extent, you had Italy sort of in the same situation. Even though they were on the winning side, the Treaty of Versailles actually took land away from Italy on the northern part of their country and sort of the northeastern part of their country. They also had high inflation, and that means that basically you go into a store, you buy a loaf of bread for $1 one day, you come back with inflation, you come back the next day, it's costing you $2. So inflation is a sustained rise in the prices of goods and services, but your money doesn't go up. There was also rising unemployment in Italy, and basically Mussolini founds what he calls the Fascist Party in 1919. He uses the fear from a workers' revolt to win more and more support throughout the country. In 1922, similar to what they did in Russia, right? He takes his fascists and that party and supporters, and they march on Rome with 30,000 people. When the king of Italy sees this, he basically puts Mussolini in charge of the government. So he doesn't want a coup. He doesn't want an overthrow. He doesn't want a civil war. He's just like, you know what? Maybe we should just let Mussolini be in charge, and they will pacify their supporters, and I can still be king. And so that is the plan that he comes up with to try to sort of appease Mussolini and his supporters. Now, as with most totalitarian fascist dictators, that's not going to work. So Mussolini is quite, I would say, probably popular in terms of his personality. And so he has a lot of followers, and it's very easy when things aren't going well for people to blame others for what is going on. And so Mussolini takes these high prices, the inflation, the fact that Italy was on the winning side but had land taken away, and uses that to his advantage. So there are a number of people who are out of work who want to have the ability to do much better. As I said, the Russian Revolution and that whole deal with the factory workers and the strike and how they made changes in Russia is sort of the inspiration for the Italians in the way that it was for the Russians. And so as the economy worsens, the trade declines, taxes rise, inflation continues to go up, and basically there is going to be a depression in Italy unless something changes. So there always seemed to be something that was going on with what happens. Now, those fascists, as you saw in one of the previous pictures, wear black shirts. And so they become known as the Black Shirts or the Black Party. In 1920, the Italian Socialist Party organized militant strikes in those northern industrial cities, such as Milan, up towards the border with Switzerland. And basically what happens is people are worried about what is going to happen to the rest of Italy. And for the most part of Italian history, the northern part has been much richer than the southern part. The southern part does not have as many factories. It's more farming and agriculture, even to this day. And so most of the people who have lots of money live in the northern part of Italy. So it's just like, you know, George Clooney, famous movie actor, he has a lake house up on basically the Italian border. And most of the rich people live to the north. And so that is going to be a concern. There are hundreds of new fascist groups that spread throughout Italy, and they name themselves the Black Shirts. And that's how they sort of organize themselves. That's how they look, and that's how they'll dress. Now, Mussolini is originally a Marxist. Marxist is someone who followed the writings of Karl Marx, who wrote Das Kapital. He was in Germany and talked about, as the Russian Revolution, right, in that unit, we talked about the redistribution of wealth. And so Mussolini believed that a national revolution is going to be necessary for them to succeed. He starts a newspaper to publicize and get popular support for that. He names it, right, the Popolo d'Italia, right, the people of Italy, who basically are going to be encouraged to join this movement. He promises a new life for people in Italy that will transform their society and also transform their government. In the election of 21, the fascists win 35 seats in the basic parliament of Italy. So they start to gain ground. By October of 22, Mussolini threatens a coup, right, in which he is going to take out the king, but that is going to be unnecessary, as the king is basically going to voluntarily give Mussolini power. And it's that march on Rome that convinces this man, King Victor Emmanuel III, all right, power to Mussolini. Now, he refuses at first to sign a law giving the Italian military the ability to quell the chaos and the rest of the fascists because he knows what happened in Russia, right? Bloody Sunday, even way back 1904, 1905, causes bloodshed and basically propels the revolution. So instead of fighting, right, and standing up to Mussolini, he invites Mussolini to join a coalition government. And basically, once Mussolini joins the coalition government, he just seizes power and says, you know what, I'm the new leader of Italy, I'm the dictator, and he starts to pass laws. So from 25 to 31, he passes laws to create the legal basis for Italy's official transformation in a single-party state. So the fascist party, the fascism ideals, the black shirts, they're going to be the ones in control. He's going to create special courts to persecute any political opposition. So there'll be no Socialist Party, no Democratic Party, nothing. He creates a national police force, similar to what Stalin had did, with a secret police component, and basically starts his indoctrination of fascist propaganda. So he encourages the development of large families. Remember that Italy, with Vatican City inside of Rome, is the head of the Catholic Church. And the Catholic Church does not allow for birth control of any kind. And so Mussolini uses this as encouragement to grow bigger and bigger families, more and more people in Italy. He uses education to indoctrinate young men and women, right? The first sentence pronounced by children at school was, let us salute the flag in the Roman fashion. Hail to Italy, hail to Mussolini, right? El Duce, the leader. So the textbooks are going to emphasize the glorious part of the ancient Romans. Remember, we talked about them at the beginning of last semester. There's limitations imposed upon the present inhabitants by geography and the West. And then it is that imperial destiny, we're going to go get our land back. There's a focus and emphasis on physical education and strength. And once Mussolini takes power, he creates a political structure that is going to be part of Italy and the government. Now, if you'll notice, the Italian flag back then has this Roman basic tool from Roman times going back to, right, the great Roman Empire, one of the greatest empires in the history of mankind. So he is going to create Italy and make it a dictatorship. The fascists relied on secret police and propaganda. And then, as you can see, the black shirts are going to be the ones that are in control. And so that's how you would show your allegiance to those people. Now, Mussolini's economic policy is going to be bringing the economy under state control, similar to what the Russians did. Unlike socialists, Mussolini preserved capitalism, though. The harder you work, the more you sell, the more money you could make. So he saw that mistake with Russia. Workers received poor wages and were forbidden to strike. We're not going to allow that to happen under my rule. In terms of social policies, right? Individual was unimportant except as a member of the state. Men were urged to be soldiers and ruthless warriors. Women were called on to produce more children. Fascist youth groups, right, are going to indoctrinate children at a young age and teach them about military life, right? So some of the problems that Italy faces after World War I, right, was unemployment, high inflation and unemployment, right, and economic depression. The Italians feel betrayed by the Treaty of Versailles because of the land that was taken, even though they had won. And then fascism is this loyalty to the state above everything else. And he basically gains control after he marches on Rome, and it scares the king. Now, there is a strong anti-Semitism view in Italy, obviously highly Catholic. There were 50,000 Jews who lived in Italy in the 1930s. He wasn't similar to Hitler in terms of wanting to exterminate the Jews in Italy, but basically he is going to treat them as non-Italians, all right, non-Italians. He does pass a number of anti-Semitic laws, right? They exclude foreign Jews. They forbid all Jews from teaching and exclude Jews from serving the government or military. This here is a book detailing those situations. Mussolini, right, gets his start before Hitler. And so he's somewhat of a role model to Hitler in terms of how to rise to power and how to take care of that. Children were required to use these notebooks with colored fascist cartoons and quotations from Mussolini on the front and back. Right? That book, published 4 months after Italy's entry into the war on the side of Germany, captions about what is going on, detailed knitting instructions, how to approach another winter of war. I mean, basically just setting everything up for what happens. An anthology of readings for the 5th grade. Nearly every story glorifies the fascist regime and its activities. You can see the date there from 1918, right? Referencing the terribleness of the end of World War I. And then, as I said, this Roman tool from the Roman times is put on the Italian flag so that it may be a sign of the great empire to come. Now, at the time of Mussolini, Italy controls Libya and Ethiopia down here in Africa. That is part of the colonization that we talked about during the first semester. So there are a number of things that go on in terms of Mussolini and what he's trying to do. But basically, he just preys on a bad situation and gets people to go over with him with the fascist ideas and what they are attempting to do. So let me show you this. This is an 8-minute clip here on Mussolini and fascism. Right, because one of the things that you have in Russia, there is no religion, right? The state is the religion. And so in a highly religious Catholic society, you can't have communism. So that's why fascism and communism is not the same, because fascism still is going to allow for Catholicism, the Pope, etc., to be part of society. So that is Mussolini and what he does, right? So a bad situation in terms of what is going on in Italy. And if you were to look at a map of Italy during this time period, as I said, in the north and in the east is where they lost land. And so if you were to look at this map, basically Italy lost land in this area, right? Even though they had won World War I, or were on the winning side. I'm not really sure that you could say that they had won that. But the northern part of Italy is where all of the manufacturing and industry had taken place. Germany doesn't have a lot of money. There's high inflation throughout Europe. Things are bad, and that allows for Mussolini to put blame on other people and to basically use this as an opportunity to be in charge and to get himself in power. And basically, he slowly converts Italy to a fascist state as dictator of that country. Okay. Questions or concerns there? Okay. So one of the things you need to do from this unit is a map of Europe pre-World War II. If you click on this, I believe there are 21 identifications that you need to know, and those are all listed here. Now remember, many of these countries are created after the Great War. So Czechoslovakia did not exist until after the Great War. These Baltic states, or what are called the Baltic states, from East Prussia up to Estonia, did not exist. Poland takes some land away from Germany, basically on their western border or the eastern border. Moldova, Ukraine, Belarus, number of these countries did not exist until after the Great War. So on your Go Formative, there are 21 of these countries that you need to know, pre-World War II countries. And that is what I would take your time doing for the rest of the period, is I would get that map done. Tomorrow, we will go over Hitler and how he rises to power and what that means to Germany. So tomorrow we'll go over Hitler. We'll finish the clip that we just saw in terms of what he did for that. So if you're looking here, this is what I would do. We'll go over Hitler, talk about his rise to power, finish that video clip, and then there'll be review questions over fascism, Mussolini, and Hitler to do. So if you want to get a head start, I would do the map now, as that is easy. And then as we've done before, said before, basically, you've got a map that is labeled up here. You've got a blank map here in terms of asking which numbers you should be doing. 1 through 21. Questions for me? Awesome. All right, so use the rest of the period to finish that, and then we'll see you tomorrow at 1:50, and we'll get Hitler out of the way.
Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a good one, Mr. Grog.
Take care. We'll see you later.